Da-da-da. It's recording. The progress is recording. I also remembered like 10 minutes ago, like, oh crap, I need to write summary. So, well, 20 now because I wrote it. But
Mm.
finish it up here. Okay. I actually cover. Yeah, I think I've said this before. I cover my face. That's
You cover your face? What?
when I on Zoom. I don't look at myself when I'm doing these.
Really?
Yeah, I put the notes over my face.
I put, I mean, my face is in the corner or whatever, but
No, I can't see
um,
myself.
I want to make sure I'm not making a weird face, which I usually am. But
You were making a weird half whistle, but was Bear and our coworker who will sit in the meeting room. He's learned to make bird call noises.
like, is he good at it, or is it just like, "Ah!"
No,
Like
it sounds like a
bad?
bird's in the room.
Okay,
In the first couple of times, I was
cool.
like, "What the hell?" We'll just sit there. Go, yeah, I can't do it, but yeah,
That's
because
awesome. I
yeah,
definitely
that's
can't.
you should do. That's what you should do in a meeting while everyone's waiting to start. People like that sort of thing. It's a
Yeah,
power move.
yeah. Just half the people like it, and half the people want to kill you for doing it. Probably.
It'd make you
Uh,
unneutral. I guess we should do this.
yeah, probably. I'm ready.
Okay. I guess you lead in then.
Okay. Welcome to Imprisoned in Prison on the Prisoner Prison Cast. I'm your host, Mark Malik, and this is your other host, Matthew Kelmages. He's here, even though you can't hear him yet. Now you can hear him.
Hey, I've had a change of mind. I don't want to do this episode now.
Okay, what are we doing?
We're gonna go work out in the forest
Okay.
on
Now
a
this is
bar.
called Workout on the Forest, a forest cast
I don't.
on a
Yeah,
bar.
I haven't been to a gym since I think 2008, 2009.
I mostly avoid gym. I like to work out by myself, just like number six does,
Oh
to be
yeah,
honest.
that's what I'm saying. I like, I will walk around a whole lot. That's like the gym of the universe.
Yeah, you have earbuds, nobody can talk to you ever.
That's right. I don't use earbuds. Head over for me, as is the case right
Ah,
now. Always head
yeah,
over.
it's Japan, so people won't like. I feel like if you use those headphones in America, someone will either take them from you or a car will like drive up on the sidewalk and kill you while you're not paying attention.
That I killed you just to teach you a lesson
No, no, it's
about
just
head
like
over
you
headphones.
just should have heard it coming.
Right.
It's just that. It's your fault.
Okay. That's cool.
Because it's never the driver's fault because it's America.
That's right, because cars are that's the Transformers are right. They chose the correct dominant species of the planet.
Yes. Car is
Yeah.
king. And until they chose the dinosaurs, which are the even more dominant species.
That's right. That was an even better choice. Or the Beast Wars. I don't know what that was. The Beast
Uh I think
Beasts
that
were they?
was back in time. Like I think that there was a big reveal that that took place before the original series,
Oh, okay.
and it
I
was
never
like
saw.
different Transformers. I didn't. I tried to watch it. Or
What's a
someone's getting
dumpster
mad at me
fire
right now. I
CGI?
tried to watch it. It looked like absolute dog shit, and
Yeah.
the all the dialogue was like puns. It was
And it
like
all
somebody
takes
gets
place
hit.
on like barren landscapes because they didn't have money for the CGI.
Yeah, it's like someone is just hanging off a tree, and somebody's like, "Stop just hanging around." It's like that level of
I,
dialogue.
I
I
think
like
it's I
don't
think it's
get
a
it.
Beast Wars was not for Generation X. I think is the bottom line. That's
You're
not
right.
Generation X's Transformers.
Not our problem. Yeah, our
Right.
problem was cheap animation that was hand drawn and probably also bad dialogue. Anyway, speaking of bad dialogue not being the case, let's go into
Wow, that was smooth.
speaking of smooth, let's transition into talking about this episode of The Prisoner with good dialogue. This is episode is called A Change of Mind. We do trivia first, right?
Yeah,
Trivia first.
I was waiting
That's
for
what we
trivia.
always say.
I've been waiting for like a minute now.
It's a trivia first trivia cast. This episode was 9th in production order and was broadcast 12th. Aired on December 15th, 1967. In some markets, it was delayed because it would have aired on Christmas Eve, and the show was considered unsuitable for broadcast on Christmas Eve.
Unmutual.
You'll notice, unmutual. You'll notice that this was directly after the production of last week's episode, which was 8th in production order. And you might recall that Patrick McGoohan got into screaming matches and tried to strangle the director. Patrick McGoohan himself directed this episode. Roy Rosati was the original director, but he was replaced after just a few days by Patrick McGoohan.
Did McGoohan try and strangle the director this time?
I don't have that information.
As in himself?
Patrick McGoohan directed under the pseudonym Joseph Surf, S-E-R-F.
Get him away from himself.
Joe Surf. McGoohan will be back in the director's chair for the final 2 episodes. Rosati will not be back.
What's up, Joe Surf?
And it is like, there is something to that. I don't understand. Maybe he's like mad that he is farming the land.
Yeah. It sounds like one of those, hey, Aaron sort of names. Joe Surf.
Yeah. Yeah, if it was SURF, then that would be actually very hilarious. This episode was written by Roger Parks, a British writer who worked entirely in the field of television. This episode of The Prisoner is the only one he wrote, and is actually his first listed writing credit on IMDb, making him an incredibly rare person who cut their teeth working on The Prisoner. He would later write episodes of Strange Report and Doom Watch. Our number 2 for this episode, and this episode alone, is John Sharp. He was born in 1920 and had a long and impressive resume, later appearing in The Wicker Man, Barry Lyndon, Top Secret, and Not on Your Nelly. Number 86 is played by Angela Brown. She left a Catholic convent school at age 13 to study theater, and then made her way onto film and then television. She first worked with Patrick McGoohan on the Danger Man episode The Girl in Pink Pajamas, starring as the Girl in Pink Pajamas, and later jumped at the chance to work with him again on this episode, even though she admitted that she didn't quite understand the plot. Prior to that, she had roles in Murder Bag and The Ghost Train Murder.
I could get to being confused last week, but I mean, I felt like you could follow this plot, sort of.
I think her role specifically was confusing.
Oh, okay.
She had to say a bunch of lobotomy things that weren't real.
Good point.
So
okay. Maybe
we'll get on to that. We'll get to that in just a second. Finally, Thomas Heathcote plays the man in the aversion therapy room, credited only as Lobo Man or Lobo Man?
Lobo
Man. He was born in India and appeared in Land of Fury, Battle Hell, and The Amorous Goldfish. Oh, and also The Abominable Dr. Phibes. He later would pass away in 86.
Battle Hell, yeah.
Battle Hell. I have to watch that one.
Oh, sorry. I guess you're finished now.
Usually, trivia end.
Yeah. You have to do that plot again after I move it a little bit more where I can see it. Doop.
Yeah, now you have to do the confusing plot.
Number 6 gets into a scuffle with a couple of local ruffians while working out in the forest. They think he's antisocial for not using the community gym. In fact, the entire village finds 6 to be uncooperative. After a warning from the council, 6 is labeled unmutual, meaning he is now persona non grata in the village. He is then taken to the village hospital to be lobotomized. This is but a ruse, though. Number 2 wants 6 to think he has been lobotomized, while 2 uses drugs to keep him civil. Number 6 figures this out rather quickly, swaps drug-dosed teacups with his handler, number 86, and then hypnotizes her with special instructions. 6 tells 2 he is now docile and wants to confess to the entire village. During his speech, 86 shows up, accuses number 2 of being unmutual, and the villagers run him out of town on a rail. Well, actually, chase him out of town, I guess. That's a little different, isn't it?
I sort of figured they killed him, but who knows?
Yeah, I guess you don't. Or well, maybe Rover
or lobotomized him.
Yeah,
somehow.
Rover killed him in a later scene. Well, maybe he gets to spend time in the what room is it again?
Aversion therapy.
Yeah, he gets to hang out in the aversion therapy room for a while now. He is the dumpiest number 2 we've had. You kind of
But
want
he's
him.
the scariest one though.
Well, he's the
And
scariest, but
it's partly because of how it is constantly filmed with him just like sweating, the camera just right up in his face, and he's just sort of like screaming and really threatening things at number 6. Anyway, my question for you is, if this was the pilot for this show, would you want to watch the rest of it?
hmm. It
I feel
starts
like
off. It has a little bit of a sitcom setup. Like it feels like a sitcom at first or something, where like the local ruffians are like, "Hey, you should be at the community village, right?"
this feels like a very it's starkly unpleasant a starkly unpleasant watch compared to the rest of the series. I'm not saying that it's a bad episode. It's actually probably one of the better ones, but it is much darker than I've gotten used to with this show.
Well, this gets into Ludovico technique territory,
Hmm.
from A Clockwork Orange. So
It's also heavily like Cold War, like more it's simultaneously more seriously Cold War than anything else in the series, but also nobody really gets hurt, even
yeah.
though it feels like
Well, maybe
it
after the
feels
last
like
scene.
I've never, pretty much this entire series, I haven't felt as afraid for number 6 as I did during this episode.
Well, he beats up those guys at his gym, and then number 6 gets pelted with umbrellas, so that probably
Yeah.
hurt.
But it's the whole like the whole village though. It's like the parade now is just like the parade just shows up to his house to beat him to death or whatever. It's like a very different tone.
They start
Uh,
asking why he quit again, why he resigned again, right? So because you mentioned like it
I
seems
did
like it's
kind of
been a while.
it did, and I when they got to it, I was like, finally, someone's actually getting down to trying to do their job. Number 2
They got
for
caught up in all those
once.
mind games, I guess.
I think we just randomly saw a few episodes where they kind of
Eyes
push
went
it
off
to
the
the back.
prize.
Yeah, but this is still, I I do feel like, I feel like it's one of those things that when you start talking about communism, that you're required to get serious.
Mm.
That's
Do
what it
you?
feels like. I know this your Time Enough Twilight Zone podcast, your other podcast, will have aired the Obsolete Man episode probably like a month and a half ago at this point. But that similarly felt like, we're discussing communism, so this needs to get serious.
Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, McCarthyism seemed to be more of the. I mean, that's
Hmm.
obviously close cousin,
Yeah.
but that seems to be like really what they're after here.
What
Um,
seems like there is societal pressure to make it. It's basically like, if this was made in 1985, there would be a serious drug addiction episode
if
because you were required to take that seriously,
if
even though
it
drug
came out
addiction has been around for 4,000 years.
if it came out today, would people see it as like a cancel culture episode?
I think if it came out today, what would this be if it came out
I
today?
feel like it would be
Yeah,
a cancel culture episode.
it it could be tweaked just a little bit to be a cancel culture episode, even though the stakes wouldn't be as high, and I don't think it would be as serious.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe they play it more for laughs or something. I don't know. Be fun. Like that.
Mm.
Like you said, the communism vibe makes things heavy.
Well, also the blacklist had like infinitely more power than cancel culture does. Like, you
Oh
can get
yeah,
quote unquote canceled and you're still making millions of dollars. Like, there's nobody, even Bill Cosby is like doing dates now. He's been to
really.
prison.
Okay.
He's been to yeah. Yeah,
I know
he's doing tour.
Spacey just went to Italy to accept an award.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's gonna keep happening, and the best thing about any of that is just these people will shut up about it, because I really don't care if like rich people have some kind of problem with people being mad at them. I don't care.
I think Europe is just like, whatever for that sort of thing.
Well, yeah, Europe is Europe has always kind of been bread and butter. Problematic stuff is like bread and butter there.
They're like,
Like,
hey, our prime ministers are diddling everyone.
yeah, in Italy, it's just like, you just have to slap him. When Harvey Weinstein comes at you, you just slap him. I mean, probably. It's probably
I,
not like that anymore, but I'm sure it was at some point.
no, I'm sure that's an unconscious response when everyone meets Harvey Weinstein. It's like, hello, mine.
Yep. And yet he still can. Well, I don't know. He might be in prison now. I have no idea.
Yeah, he seems to have had a better story of comeuppance than some of the other folks.
And everybody knows he has a weird egg-shaped dick.
my 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 alternate title for this episode is Unmutual of Omaha.
Yeah, that's good. I do have a few places in my notes just like unmutual, unmutual.
I really like the term. I think we should try and bring it back into like normal conversation. Stop
You
being
think
so
we should
unmutual,
just
man.
yeah, if anybody like has any issue with it, like, hey, what did you eat the leftovers in the refrigerator? Unmutual.
Oh, you don't want to do it casual, like, oh man, that's unmutual of you.
You can do anything, you could use it for anything you want, basically. What does this even mean in this episode? I don't know what it means. He's not any more like agitated or cranky than he is in any other part of the series.
Well, like you said, it's just saying communist, right?
Yeah, basically.
But they have a better word than communist, so they use it.
Well,
Um,
this is also I don't think this is specifically as much communist. It's just paranoia in general. Like I'm sure that this also feels like it's poking fun at McCarthyism
oh
because
yeah,
that
for
was
sure, because it's a fun
because
episode.
yeah, I think yeah, I think McCarthyism was something that people were much more familiar with than like the actual like workings of Stalinist Russia. I
Speaking of
don't know.
canceling people, I guess Six technically roofies number 89.
Well, he switches the
He
hmm,
doesn't take advantage of. Well, he does take advantage of her, but not in that way.
I don't know. Is every movie and TV show where a spy switches the two glasses, is that like are they roofing the people when they
Yeah,
switch the glasses?
well,
Is that are they
they are, but
responsible?
context counts, right? Um,
I think it's self-defense in that case. I don't know. That's a
actually,
tough one. But
this came up in my chit chatting yesterday. Are we sure Six was a spy? I think we're saying that just because of Danger Man and stuff.
what if are you saying what if the job he resigned in London is like
Like maybe he's
a
actually
school teacher?
Q. Well, no, I'm sure he's not that because he has information in his head. That's for sure. But he could be like, say,
Hmm,
the Q of, maybe he's like an engineer or something.
that'd be interesting.
Because he tends to screw up a lot of this. Now he does definitely keep himself in good shape, right? He can kick some ass, but he tends to screw up some of the spy stuff where he is sometimes good at some of the engineering stuff, like building stuff.
I hadn't thought about that. That is pretty interesting.
I think we just all assume he was a spy because Danger Man was on a year before this, and it's basically it seems like the same character, but Magoon was very much like, and it's not the same character. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just we made that assumption, and there's not actually enough evidence to say that's for sure.
Like he maybe is a computer guy.
Right, right. He might be a techie guy that just likes to work out because most of his skill is MacGyvering things more than like again. Though he almost gets off the island in the Schizoid Man and like screws up relatively simple spy stuff.
Hmm. I think, but he's like really good at punching people.
Well, he likes to work out too, but yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway, I mean, it's easy to just be, yeah, he's a spy that's now here, but I was like, this is just the idea came up, like, are we sure?
Hmm.
I mean, Cold War stuff, because obviously not everyone in this village is a spy. We've already had people who are clearly like scientists and stuff.
It seems most people in the village are just dumb idiots who just hang out.
Well,
I
they've
don't know.
all been,
I've seen very few like people demonstrate like extreme proficiency or intelligence.
well,
I don't know what it
they've all
means.
been broken.
Yeah, they've been all been destroyed.
Six is just, it's been taking a while, right? That's why all the twos get so annoyed with him.
Yeah.
So they've gotten to the point of just like pointing a finger at him and screaming unmutual.
That's Hey, do you think this was some kind of manifestation about of him like hitting like a breaking point, nervous breakdown? Like because this is the ninth episode, we're at the peak
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
production order, that is.
I don't know. I don't know. I did
Because
notice at one point he gives the TV audience the finger. I think it's in his room or something.
what? I
There's just a
missed
shot.
that.
I think he's just picking up or pointing something. I was like, hey, he's got his middle finger fully extended. I do in
Jeez.
Japan sometimes, like, in Japan the finger's not like a thing, right? So I
Yeah.
found myself, because it's actually a good pointing finger, and I found myself like reading books to kids and like pointing with my middle finger, because when it's no longer a social stigma, it's actually I mean, it makes sense. It's right in the middle of your hand, right?
I kind of feel like the middle finger has just been something you do to people you like for the past like 30 years, and it doesn't really mean anything anymore.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a car, I guess.
Since the expression "up yours" was popular, that's the last time the finger was offensive.
Yeah, I just
Up yours, and you give them the
I
finger.
never flip people off in a car either. I do kind of just mouth things at people, but I don't think anybody's looking at me.
Yeah. Do you mouth sexy things to them?
I mean, is fuck you, go fuck yourself a sexy thing? I don't know. Maybe.
Ooh la la. Um, sure, why not? Um, I did find fun in here. Not fun. I found in here that they're showing the lobotomy to the entire village. Rather, it's like a televised lobotomy special.
Yeah, that was super. I don't know how to. It, Interestingly, the last lobotomy that was performed in the US was in 1967, and it failed. It killed the person that they were doing it on. So they stopped. Like, basically, we're in the end of the lobotomy era here.
Well, this
Era
this
here.
is sci-fi ultrasound lobotomy, you know. So they
I
don't.
mean, it
They didn't
feels
do
like they're
that.
not trying to. Yeah, they're trying to base this sort of in reality. It's not just complete. Like they don't have like teleportation or time travel in this show. It's at least sort of gritty,
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure the
even
CIA
though
had this method that they'd use. Well, they did have.
of
What
it
was it
using
five
light.
5 years ago when it was it like the Cuban embassy or something got like sonic attacked or something, or the American, I don't remember. So some embassy
Yeah,
had like a sonic attack.
for sure. There are some. I mean, that's just a matter of just hooking enough power up to a speaker. You know, it's like um.
Or were they just playing like a Caribbean Queen outside the door or something really loud? Was that the sonic attack?
No, I think they have like hit people with waves that I don't know make them crap themselves or something. I have no idea. Make them feel sad.
Yeah, yeah. With
Just
Caribbean
play.
Queen playing? Is Caribbean Queen playing or not?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
They played that U2 album that everyone was stuck with there on their iPhones really loud, and it made everyone freak out.
Oh, okay. I think
Uh,
that I prefer the ocean.
so you don't like
Billy
this number
Ocean.
two?
I just
I
say he's
think.
dumpy. I say he's
I mean,
dumpy
he looks bad,
and
as
he's
in like he
sweaty.
looks like he's not doing good for himself. But he was so scary. He reminded me of like the guy from Total Recall. You know,
Oh,
like
right. Well,
the
because he's sweaty, probably. That's
Recall
how.
guy.
That's how.
Yeah,
That's how Schwartz decides to get a divorce.
yeah, but he's manipulative and scary and kind of threatening, and
Yeah, I
he
mean,
reminds me of the Penguin also.
yeah, yeah. It was much more of a 1984 vibe, right? Sort of like
Hmm.
Winston Smith at the Chestnut Cafe, waiting for that bullet in the back of his head.
Yeah, he was the right number two for this job.
No victory gin in the village, though. They don't seem to have that, so too bad.
Oh yeah, but I mean the last week's number two wouldn't have worked for this. He would have been like, "Hey man, I don't know,
Let's drill a hole in your head.
I don't know what we should do, man."
Yeah, that's the thing that you got to match the right number twos. That's one thing with the 2009 series. And what, they got the same number two the whole time? That can't be fun, even if it is Ian McClellan.
Yeah, I'm not going to judge that without watching it, but it looked kind of bad scrolling through that
It looked a little
first
drab.
episode.
Well, you're used to
Yeah.
watching this insane Technicolor 60s extravaganza sort of thing. So yeah.
Well, also that was kind of this is 2009, was it?
Yeah.
That was not a great time for TV because that's like pre it's before Breaking Bad really like took I mean even Breaking Bad, even as good as the writing is on that, it's still like a very like street level regular looking show.
Yeah,
Like I don't feel
I think it was still like what Lost and Battlestar when that came out, both good shows, but still a little wonky and put together. They're
like
not as finessed as some peak TV shows, I guess.
well there you will eventually look back on that era like the early 2000s as this like kind of Call of Duty like just muted color thing. Man of Steel 2008, that's one of the worst looking movies that I've ever seen in my life.
That's not
And it's
2008. That's much later than 2008. It's like 2012, I think.
no, 2012 was Batman v Superman.
That doesn't sound right. Okay.
I'm looking
as I
it up.
said, I closed my Chrome already, so I'm not. You're looking it up. That's right.
Oh, sorry, 2013. You're right. Anyway, still
Yeah.
ballpark in the ballpark.
It's
You
it's got
know,
that look for sure. So
looks like
which
garbage. I was actively hoping that the Kryptonians would chloroform the Earth to make it look better. And even Krypton looked like a crappy Xbox screensaver in that movie.
yeah, yeah. So that's the point though. Watching this is I don't think many shows look better than this.
Style mattered in this point in time, and it's kind of there. I live in Atlanta where a lot of buildings are being built, and there are a lot of new skyscrapers. They're like, huh, that looks like that kind of invokes like Miami 1965 or something like that. It's like weirdly seeing like past like mid-century things are back.
Building well, it's like what I'm Art Deco is I guess somewhat popular 20 years ago. So it's like
Yeah.
fashions like 30 years ago fashions are coming back, but like 60 years ago architectural things come back.
But well, yeah, and I mean, I don't know about in Japan, but I mean, like when they build a new Wendy's now, it looks like a Frank Lloyd Wright ripoff.
Okay, well, that sounds fun, I guess. Nah, we don't see that around
I
here.
mean, it's at least nice to look at. It doesn't look like the like dumb whatever fast food looked like 10 years ago, where it looked like a big skylight thing or whatever.
I was looking into the village shooting location in Wales last night, and I didn't realize that XTC made a couple of their skylarking videos there, wearing prisoner
Hmm.
costumes.
Oh, I had no idea.
It's the meeting place and the man who sailed around his soul. Both of those videos are shot in the village.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't. I'm kind of not very music video literate because I didn't have MTV
The same here,
growing
and
up.
and I don't think those videos were ever particularly popular either. But
I mean, if they would have been when we were like 6 and 7 years old, probably, or not popular, I guess they would have been. You have to watch MTV
in the UK or something,
New Wave Hour or whatever.
probably on the BBC's, we'll dump a few videos for the kids for an hour on Friday night.
John Peel's video
Extravaganza.
time. Yeah, just imagining some world where John Peel cared about videos. I'm pretty sure he didn't.
Mm-mm. So let's see. I'm just having a scroll through with what I have here. I can't remember. There's a bit of besides just McCarthyism. There's the Chairman Mao thing with it's bugging me where they have basically someone sit in the middle of the room and everyone like just goes around them and points fingers at them and accuses them of stuff.
I read that there was some Chinese connection in this. I have no, I don't really know. I'm not familiar with that.
I'm looking. I know I have the name on my computer, but I have to go through several um things to find it. Okay, maybe this is it. Okay, it's called a thought examination.
Interesting.
I mean, that's translated from Chinese, of
Yeah, of
course, but
course.
yeah, it was a thought
In Chinese,
examination
it's
where
probably
so
examination thought.
so someone sits in the middle of the room and everyone circles them and they examine the person in the middle of the room's thoughts, I guess, which is pretty much what they're doing here, I guess.
Was and interestingly, I saw this episode also took inspiration from some noted anti-psychiatry people in the who were kind of
Against
powerful in the
psychiatry.
US. There was an anti-psychiatry movement. They listed as an influence one guy who actually started some kind of bureau of anti-psychiatry along with Scientology. So it's like you can tie this stuff to Scientology as well. You could definitely look at this episode and be like, yeah, it seems like they don't trust psychiatry. Hmm. The thought that therapy or whatever.
Patrick McGowan ended up screaming at all of his therapists, probably.
Yeah. No, no.
He never had more than one session with a single person.
Are you trying to direct my show? No, stop it.
I'll strangle you.
I'm the director. Yeah, the how about that smile on his face when he thought they were about to lobotomize him? That was like really insane.
Oh yeah. Oh well, after right when he wakes up and I guess
It
he's
was
been
no, I'm
dosed at
talking
least
about when they
once.
had him in the chair and he was just smiling at them like he was just daring them to do it. He was just like,
Oh, see, I prefer the ones when he's back in his apartment and he's doped out.
I mean, that too. That was really that was pretty funny. And even after he beat those guys up, he was just sort of like,
Yeah,
just like kind of.
I mean, this plan was real crap. It worked for like it didn't work. It worked for maybe 30 minutes.
I was like in my notes. I was like, do they think that he wouldn't notice that he's not lobotomized? It's like you don't have to be a genius prodigy secret agent to know that I have not been lobotomized. I don't know. It's like I am on drugs. I've not been lobotomized. It's
I mean,
kind
are they
of
just gonna
man.
serendipitously dose him for the next however long? I guess the
Well,
idea is he tells why he resigned rather
mhm.
quickly, and then they don't
Well,
have to do this anymore.
I think the idea is, and it's not out of the question that you tell someone that they're lobotomized and you're drugging them and they just give up. They're like, yes, I am. Because I mean, I've definitely known people who don't know how smart they are just under normal circumstances, who act kind of like idiots because they feel like that they've accepted that their identity is kind of a, I don't know.
Well, Mark, you've been lobotomized, don't you remember?
What?
Here's another alternate title. Number 6 is Terrible No Good Day.
Yeah. Yeah, it is like it's a it's a bad plan and it doesn't work, but
It's one of
it's
the more
hard to
realistic plans,
watch.
though,
Yeah,
because
it's scary to watch it though.
I mean,
It's like
they probably do gaslight people in black ops sites like this in reality, you know?
I feel like this is actually for their overall plan, this is one of the worst things they could do because now he knows they're not going to lobotomize him. I think he has in his mind that someone is always plotting against him and they're not going to kill him. And now he knows they're not going to lobotomize him, which is pretty dangerous information, I think.
Oh, this is definitely a win. I mean, again, Schizoid Man is a clear loss as he screws up his helicopter ride. Getting jettisoned out of
Yeah.
the jet plane in the last episode, that's a loss, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
Schizoid Man was like he barely overcame that situation, but you know,
but this one is a clear win. He gets number 2 run out of town, and like you said, probably murdered. So, or
yeah,
at least lobotomized for
and
real.
he knows that there are steps that they won't take. It's
Because
like
that
clearly.
the Peter Pan lady number 2, she was very much like, oh, we can't take certain steps. I mean, he didn't hear her say that, but
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely see it on his face here where he's sort of like, "You're not going to do anything, are you? You're just going to give me drugs that I could clearly see her putting into my tea, which she could have done a better job than that, by the way."
she was not a spy before this.
Yeah, maybe she was just a
I mean, she had medical knowledge, I guess, so it probably had something to do with that.
dental hygienist.
Yes,
Maybe
and
she was a
plus
barista.
lobotomy. You get your teeth
Yeah.
cleaned and you get lobotomized.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Same
just think
drill.
what's a musician's advice? If you do something disharmonious, just do it twice, and then it seems intentional. And that's what he
I
does. He beats those guys up at his gym twice.
that was I put in my notes that was a weird sitcom thing to happen. Like, hey, remember this?
Well, that's what I said at the beginning
Doing
of this
this dance
episode
again.
of this podcast, right? That it felt a little
But
weird and sitcom-y and with that.
yeah, but it also was the show started out more menacingly than it usually is. You don't usually see someone just show up in his area and just start a fight and then be like, "Well, committee's going to hear about this," even though
Well,
they started the fight.
I was starting to read Alex Cox's book,
Mm.
and it's talking about how this is the episode that makes the villagers like look the crappiest. Like
Yeah, for sure.
this is definitely everyone is for sure in on it sort of episode, and they all get like twisted at the. I mean, I guess that's the thing. The people in the village have no more willpower, right?
Yeah, it feels like maybe it doesn't make them look bad as much as it makes them look very malleable and stupid.
Yes. So, and I guess it's the drama of the show. Why hasn't 6 broken down yet, right? So,
but it's like that's why I asked you in the beginning, like if this was the pilot, because if this was how the show started, then yeah, it's like the tone is very more like you always talk about how you want the episodes arranged so the intensity gets ratcheted up, and that's definitely happened very well over the past few that we've watched, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. That's why it can't really be a pilot, I guess. Also, you wouldn't know what the hell is
Yeah.
going on. It would be way too confusing if this were the first
Well,
episode.
this could be the second episode, I guess, but it's
It,
just
it could be, but well,
the even compared to last week's episode where he's kind of hanging out and kind of friends with a lot of people. In this episode, it's like nobody's his
no
friend in
friends,
this
no
episode.
friends. Um, well, I'll mention Battlestar again because their first episode is a not the big like 3 hour plus pilot, right? But the first actual episode was like insanely intense. It was 33, where the Cylons are attacking every 33 minutes, and that one was, they couldn't keep up that intensity. They had to drop it down after that for a bit.
It didn't wasn't that Battlestar just sort of the same showrunners as Deep Space Nine or
Um,
one of them?
one of them. Well, he that's Ronald Moore, who started on Next Gen. Wrote a
Hmm.
lot. He wrote all the Klingon stuff for Deep Space Nine. Basically, you could call him
Hmm.
the Klingon showrunner for Deep Space Nine, I guess.
Interesting. Well, I just think when I think of Deep Space Nine, it's like, with the exception of the last season, like I don't know, seasons 2 through 6 of Deep Space Nine, it's like every season starts with like it feels like they're trying to just jam a knife directly into your chest. Beginning, like it's so like those kick off so intensely. And the sixth season starts off with like a 6-part war arc. It's
Right.
just like okay,
So this one is just.
so
I guess that thing with. Does it make more sense with this show just building up? Because the first episode is just weird, right? Like this is
mhm.
weird, and yeah, we're getting pretty intense now. And I think I haven't watched Hammer and the Anvil yet, but from what I understand, that one's even more intense. And
Mhm.
then we get the later episodes, which I guess are probably not as intense. But I guess the idea with the 13 first season of The Prisoner is, rank them in intensity, man.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the least intense episode we've watched recently was Many Happy Returns, and that was still
That has a
our
that makes your heart fall
incredibly
out the end.
intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredibly intense because it's like in a quiet way, I guess, because there's nobody there, and then he has to go
I'll
and
just
kill German pirates or
I'll
whatever it
just
is.
put on the record. We did the Schizoid Man, then we did the General, then we did the Schizoid Man, because that's what it says on my DVDs. I would
Very
say
good.
those should be reversed. It should be Schizoid Man, then the General, because he mentions, "I'll tell that to the General." He's like, "How are you going to do that?" Haha. Like
Oh
clearly
yeah, good
they're
point.
referring at the end of Schizoid Man. They're referring to the General, and he doesn't understand. So I would say that you should probably flip those in your watching order.
But isn't there a character named the General in a completely other episode that we watched? I think there's
But he was in London. That was not a village thing, I think.
I think let me see.
Chimes of Big Ben, I think.
My
Yeah,
thing is all
had the
messed up.
general in
Wait.
London.
Doo
Anyway,
doo
there are lots of
doo.
generals. This is a world with a military, so there are definitely people who would be named a
Hmm.
general. But
Yes, there's not just the computer named the General, but I mean we got a bunch of computer printout stuff last week, I
well, they
think.
still have computers.
It's
They
your
just don't have the
funeral.
general. Yeah,
It's
they have
not the
different
same. It's not
computers.
the General. It's
Hmm.
like a worse computer.
How does the tally ho work? Because it instantly publishes newspapers that are fully written and everything. Is that AI making those?
Yeah, that's the Admiral.
Okay, the admiral's making those because he gets the full
I
newspaper like
love
seconds after being declared unmutual,
Yeah,
right?
it looks like a giant version of those things that make the fake dollar bills. You know what I'm talking about? Like the
Yeah,
little
yeah,
thing where you
yeah.
crank out and you make the fake dollar bills. But it's just like he always gets those and he just scowls at them. He's like,
And when he was running for number two, as soon as he says he'll do it, all the posters come out, right? So
yeah.
I'm guessing they have like a an AI, like AI art thing, that can just instantly make your story or your newspaper or whatever.
What if the job he resigned was like graphic designer?
Oh, and he hates this font
Yeah. No, it's just like the graphic design company is just able to print things real quickly because
and write them. Well,
that's
that's where
that's the one who wants his information.
those thing it had the fully written. In this episode, we see the fully written article, right? Like seconds after he's declared unneutral.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, oh, there has to be some AI in there too to make that happen in like 2 seconds.
Or suppose it's like, that every single like major celebrity, there's just like this boilerplate obituary on file at like the New York Times.
Mm-mm. I always think
Or
of
it's
the
like they have to go to press immediately with it. They just fill in the details.
Did you see? I think it was the Dana Carvey show where he's doing. Who was in tech? I think it was like Ted Koppel or something, like trying to record Gerald Ford's obituary, and they're like, we have to get. He's like, Gerald Ford today was mauled by tigers. And he says, that's not going to happen. And they're like, we don't know. You want to be called back from your vacation or not?
Well, there's the whole thing where there's a Nixon speech for like if the astronauts died on the way to the moon that he had prepared.
He should have accidentally given that one.
It's just like I'm
Or
trying
maybe
to
maybe like on in July
okay.
1970 he could have given that speech just for fun.
Fate has ordained that the men who went to the moon to explore in peace will stay on the moon to rest in peace. These brave men, Neil Armstrong and Edwin Aldrin. This is long.
You don't
Anyway,
okay. He could have given that as resignation speech in 1974.
yeah, just be like, Richard Nixon, your president, has decided to stay on the moon. What
Yeah.
if he did? What if he was just like had a gun and was just like, no, we're going to the moon. Take me to the moon. Like he just hijacked.
No,
He
that
probably
that's
could have
more
done that.
that's more like something that would happen today. Not
Yeah, come on,
1974.
Elon Musk, take me to the moon.
Nah, he wants to go to Mars. He don't want to take you to the moon.
Has he even gotten to the moon yet?
No, I don't think so.
Nope. See about that. I saw a really fun thing that was shared that just said
He could have
it
secretly
was
gone to the moon. We just don't know about it.
it was a post on somewhere online that said Elon Musk thinks he'll have someone to land on Mars in the next 10 years, and it says 11 years ago.
He's been to the moon in his Iron Man suit that's covered with racist decals.
Yeah, it's a asbestos man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else you want to throw out about? Do you have any changes of mind about change of mind left in your lobotomized head?
Well, I can't decide. Well, it's I guess communism is bad. I
Well,
don't know. Maybe it isn't.
struggle sessions are bad. Thought examinations. I read struggle
I
session.
think
Why did I
I
write
think it's
that?
just the environment where you can just scream about someone and then they get like carried off and have their brain drilled is a bad environment and not healthy. I think the French Revolution kind of was like that too. Even though I'm sure that France is better off eventually. Um, yeah, that's any kind of any environment where you can just sort of have people carried off, turn the whole village against them. Not good.
Because even his hairdresser won't do his hair. If you notice, he looked
Yeah.
especially disheveled after he's done mutual. Like someone comes to his apartment every morning, just kind of like works up his hair a bit, you know. But she didn't come today, or he. I'm not saying it's
Sure,
a
it
she.
had nothing to do with him directing this episode after taking it from the director.
I had to strangle a man for this job.
I'm Joseph Surf. Don't mess with me.
Yeah, he insisted everyone call him Joseph Surf while filming this episode. It wasn't Joe Surf. Was it Joe Surf?
It's Joseph Surf.
Oh, Joe. Oh, see, I wanted it to be Joe Surf.
What's like? I mean, you could call him that.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's
Make,
that shows up in Wikipedia, but it doesn't show up in like IMDb because IMDb has people listed as their actual selves, and
oh,
you know.
On my computer at work, if I look up something on IMDb, it'll come up with a Japanese name but written in English. So
Weird.
if I look up Twilight Zone on that computer, it'll come on IMDb as Mystery Zone.
Maybe that's a better title. I don't know.
It does sound a little more gaudy, I guess. Mystery Zone.
I mean, it actually is a better descriptor of what the show is. Like
Yeah, yeah.
Twilight, what's that?
That's vampires and werewolves. That's what it is.
Sparklies.
Yeah. See, that's the problem from modern day. I think before Twilight, maybe Twilight Zone was fine, but now you think of are you on Team Jacob or not? You know.
Well, it's even that I remember seeing like
But t-
commercials for the Twilight Zone when I was a kid and like not understanding that it wasn't like about a time of day.
oh,
You know what
I
I mean?
I always got because we went. What was it? Ruby Falls, where they have the Twilight Zone in the cave. That's fun. The
Yeah.
wrong podcast to talk about this though. We should talk about it on the Twilight Zone podcast.
Well, that's one of the many podcasts that you can listen to on the Podcastia Network, isn't it?
I think you put in an extra word there. Yeah.
Podcast.
Okay.
uh, you can support the podcast network by going to patreon.com/podcastio throw us a couple of dollars to host things on the cloud where they live, where they should live.
On a cloud.
You can also listen to podcasts about sci-fi movies at Matt and Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary. You can also listen to Occult Disney podcast. Is that the name of it? Occult Disney?
That's right.
Occult Disney podcast for your occult Disney podcast
Needs.
listening. I almost said it and then
Oh,
I just
oh, oh,
veered
oh,
off.
oh. I think it was a day or two ago, as of this recording, I noticed on Twitter that the Occult Disney Twitter podcast was "You are now followed by the Church of Satan." I was like, "That's great."
Yes. Yeah. Life goals. Speaking of life goals, you listen to game show podcasts with several British gentlemen sadistically
So gentle.
screwing each other over for points on a game show about games, video games, that is.
With no
If,
prize.
speaking of video games, the prize is you get to do the plugs at the end. Speaking of video games, there's the Monster Mash podcast about Monster Hunter. Luke Loves Pokemon podcast about Pokemon.
Right.
And
I mean, we said
believe
lots of
that's all
things.
the podcast.
Lots of things were said, so it's probably fine. I mean, I
And
tuned out a little bit, that's for sure.
and this podcast, Imprisoned in Prison, and the Prison Cast,
You can't even
which
say it.
come back
I
come back
declare you
next week.
unmutual. I'm not talking to you anymore.
No.
Yeah, okay.
I figured that was a good place to end it. I just stopped talking.
Right. I declare you as unmutual at the end.
Yeah, you have to, right?
Wow,
Canceled.
I was thinking because probably just because it keeps coming up. I guess after we do the last episode, we should hit the prisoner puzzle. You know what that is?
No.
It's just a late '70s long form interview with Patrick McGowan about the show.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I was thinking about this and I don't think I want to do it, but I figured I'd just say it. The show Oz.
Well, in my mind, the one to hit after this would be Space 1999, if that sounds like a winner.
That would how long is that? That's not the thing about Oz is it's like 80-hour long episodes, so it's like even for an HBO series, it's like I mean for an HBO series it is long.
Space 1999 is only 2 seasons.
Yeah, we can do that. The only reason I even thought about Oz is because Oz is like thematically about prisoners, but it's like the most R-rated thing
Oh, you mean like it stays in
imaginable.
this feed?
Yeah, like it stays like it is this same show, but it's suddenly it's about Oz.
Does it still have an image of Patrick McGowan on the podcast?
I think we just caught like Photoshop like the dude from Oz over it. Over his face. I don't know. But that's like a long series. I mean, it's a great series, but it's long and that's just like At
Space
that point,
1999 is where the first season is like really intellectual sci-fi. It's like
mm,
it's like Star Trek the Motion Picture, the TV show, and then the second season is like silly and stupid because they
what else
re
did Buck Rogers do that sort of? I didn't watch any
yes,
of it.
yes,
Really.
Buck Rogers
Okay.
also did that, except that Buck
Yeah.
Rogers was mildly stupid in the first season.
Yeah, Buck Rogers was like not from what I remember watching a Space 1999, it was like kind of intense at least.
The first season is like fucking intense, and then the second season is, I mean, you can just see in the cost here. They got him in the second season costumes on the box, and you can just tell it's like, oh, that looks much happier and lighter.
Yeah. Yeah, I just remember Martin Landau just like yelling a lot.
I guess yeah,
That was my impression.
some more yelly shows. Yeah, that's what we need. Six. I'm seeing how many episodes there. 6, 12,
But yeah, I guess we don't really want to do
4,
the Prisoner 1990 2009 series
24,
if
30.
because it's apparently bad. I mean, I feel like I should watch maybe just watch an episode of it just to make sure it's not good. Because like just because it looks like shit doesn't mean it's a bad show.
48. Looks like there's 48 Space 1999 episodes.
Cool. Well,
Oops.
that's a possibility. I mean, I guess Mission Log isn't doing that, are they?
That was my other thing. Since we seem to have at least some affiliation, that's a good one to hit. Where Oz wouldn't really vibe, and
I
it's
think,
back to my hey, I got the set right here, as what
yeah,
was the case with the prisoner.
maybe we could have more guests for that one since it's like such a more sprawled out thing.
Yeah. I mostly would probably want to do them without guests because I kind of like that vibe too. Um,
Yeah,
I have
we have
noticed,
a rhythm.
and I've noticed recently, just from looking at the stats, that having guests and not having guests doesn't really make much of a difference.
I was like,
Every
yeah,
once in a while, there's a
I
guest where it
wonder
does
about
bump the numbers, but yeah,
like how did your what was Rod Roddenberry? Gene Rod what was that his name? Gene
Rod,
Roddenberry's son.
what's
How
Eugene? But he goes by
did that
Rod.
go? Okay.
It's above
Did that one
average, but I mean, I don't think he was out promoting in it, so so it has more than usual. But
yeah.
the most listened Sci-Fi Sanctuary ones are actually I think Cloud Atlas is the most downloaded one.
Weird.
That's because the guest has a notable internet presence and he promoted it on his site.
Okay. Oh,
The
cool.
occult Disney one's been gaining a little steam. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I need to actually listen to a lot of those since I have probably seen everything you're talking about. It's like there's so many fucking podcasts.
Did you see
Just
Victory Through Air Power?
uh probably is that Donald Duck?
No, it's a full length feature with Disney trying to
What?
convince you that the state should win the war through air power.
I don't know. I don't think I've seen that. That
Okay, I
live
was just
action?
live action and animation.
Huh.
They got like they got a German in that? I don't remember. But yeah, it's based on some book called Victory Through Air Power, making the case, and he made a film. And I guess it worked because that's what they ended up doing. So
1943. Weird. I don't feel like I've ever even heard of this.
because they
Is
weren't
it
making
like
movies at the time, right? Everything they were doing was for the war effort. So this was their biggest production during that period.
it says on IMDb the first thing that says connections it says edited into Hockey Homicide 1945. What?
Oh, I don't know what that means. Okay,
Oh,
but
Walt Disney presents Goofy in Hockey Homicide. It is
oh,
a Goofy cartoon named called Hockey Homicide? What is going on?
that's wonderful.
Huh, I don't think anybody actually dies.
Hold on, grab my iPad. Which state of I fixed the Jaguar was I in last time we talked?
I thought you said you'd fixed it.
I did. And then I put on flat wound strings, which made it even better.
Hmm.
Because it's got the weird bridge and was designed in like what 1962, so they didn't have round wound strings. So it's actually not designed for round wound strings.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's now a total scum guitar. It does surf and scum like quite well.
Um,
Like because it's got
weird.
you
I'm
hit
sorry, I'm
the.
just still taking in this fucking Air Power movie.
I was grabbing my iPad. What happened to that? What did
What
I
were
do
you
with the
grabbing your
iPad?
iPad?
I was just gonna look at what we've done so far. Where did I put the fucking
Wow.
iPad? I lost the iPad.
That's weird. Why would you lose the iPad?
I don't know. Oh, weird. I'm not sitting on it. I'm pretty sure it was like deep in my comforter.
Whoa. I'm like going down some major rabbit holes through this movie. Like the guy who narrates it was kind of a disgraced. He was like court-martialed because he was like he was too like bullish on air power. Like
Let's see.
what?
What have we done? So
When
far
the
we've
Navy
done.
airship Shenandoah went down in 1925, Mitchell accused the government of incompetency, criminal negligence, and almost treasonable administration of national defense. He was court-martialed from that.
He's
For that.
a party man. Yeah.
1925. That's like 20 years before the Air Power movie came out.
Did they explain this at the beginning of the movie? I believe because
Oh
when they
well,
have a
never
little
mind.
biopic. But
That's
yeah, what
crazy.
so we done we started with Fantasia because that's kind of like it's not the
Yeah,
first,
that's
but it seems like the first one you should do. From there, it is
yeah.
chronological. It says so then Snow White, Pinocchio, Dumbo, Bambi, Victory Through Air Power, Cinderella, Peter Pan, and Hook. We talk about Hook as well. Lady and the Tramp, Fox and the Hound, Sleeping Beauty, just published 101 Dalmatians, and
Mm.
Sword in the Stone and Mary
Oh,
Poppins are queued up.
so yeah, I think I heard you say on another podcast that you just watched 101 Dalmatians and we're talking about like the Xerox, the Xerox animation. I
Right.
didn't know that, and I didn't know that until recently. I was like, oh God, that explains so much. It really, when you're watching that movie, it really does. You feel it psychologically feels like you're watching a bunch of mistakes. You know what I mean? Like it has that look of like
Just
somebody who just kept
turn them into
making a mistake.
coats. Yeah.
It makes sense though because it's sort of about like the guy in the movie is kind of a schlub or whatever.
Mhm. Oh, sorry. The other thing with Space 1999 is it's it rivals The Prisoner for having the best opening sequence ever.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've definitely remember that.
They're just playing disco and making you watch like the episode you're about to watch.
Yeah.
Which because I did that in the newer Battlestar too, and some people didn't like that because that's a spoiler. Man, it's not a spoiler if it's in the show.
Yeah, now we just skip everything.
Yeah, I liked the Battlestar did that. I thought that was cool. But their opening sequence was not as cool as Space 1999 because it wasn't as disco-tastic.
Well, all the Star Trek shows just show you
Planets and
ships
stuff,
flying and then play a cool song over it.
except for Enterprise.
Yeah, Enterprise plays what like that soft rock shit or whatever.
I just heard Brendan Braga talking about, yeah, someone played a U2 song over the sequence and we thought it was a good idea, but yeah, it didn't really work
Wow.
out, did it?
Wow. I mean, again, that was a period of time when people were just making little big swings, I guess. Big dumb swings at things.
Those are the Orville folks talking to him on that one.
Ah, speaking of things I should watch.
Yeah. Um, it definitely like it's you should start from the beginning, but it definitely like gets a lot better as you go.
Well, I think I've been pretty well prepared that it specifically is much better after the first season because of some plot line that's bad or something.
No,
Like
it's
the
just goof.
aliens at the beginning are stupid or something.
No, it's just the balance of goofy is not quite right at first.
What's like definitely I I I know Voyager gets out of it eventually, but like the whole like the the Kazon fucking suck. Like
Oh
I'm
yeah,
really ready for that to be gone. They're just
yeah
like
they
shitty
dumped them
Klingons.
they dumped them at the end of season 2. So
Oh, so yeah, I'm already past them then. There's definitely like just sort of a point where I
I'm
was just like,
pretty
God, these
sure we don't see them
assholes.
again. Oh, we do see them in Prodigy,
Interesting.
but in the background, they're not
Uh,
like important characters or anything. It's just because the kids in Prodigy were all slave traded to this mining moon or asteroid, right? And the
yeah.
Kazon are the slavers,
Huh. Yeah,
which
it's I just think of them as shitty Klingons.
yeah, with bad hair, yeah.
Yeah, they look like tree Klingons.
Although the Picard season starts Thursday, so that's almost here.
That's the final season, quote
Yeah,
unquote, even though Patrick Stewart has said that he might do more.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
But I don't know. I'm on board with
so
okay.
it's so funny that I started watching Deep Space Nine specifically to watch that and Voyager so I could watch Picard. And I'm like not through Voyager yet, and Picard is gonna end, and everybody says don't watch Picard.
I mean, you watch it once. It's not. It's
Mm.
because Star Trek.
I
You should be
mean,
able to just bop in and watch any episode here, and you can't do it with Picard. You gotta like, oh, I'm gonna watch a season now. You know.
well, it's like I feel like, well, it's like I feel like I have better options now. Apparently,
And both seasons would have made great two parters. You know.
yeah.
Like that's kind of the issue, right? It's not that the ideas are bad or that there's anything particularly bad. It's just it's stretched way too thin, and Patrick Stewart is a little old. Good, but you know he can't
Yeah.
really like do stuff anymore, right?
It's sort of like the Star Wars sequels where it's like they could have just done them, could have really just done them a lot earlier. They could have done this show a lot earlier if they wanted to.
Yeah, that's why you
'Cause
got
there's
like
a whole, like, there was like a 20-year gap of no Star Trek at all, except for those movies that people, again, are mixed on. So,
mhm, right, but and yeah, Discovery you can't for the most part you can't just pop in and watch an episode. The ones that you can are the ones I like, you know.
I had like a dream that I started watching Discovery, but I haven't actually started watching it in real life.
I would say just jump straight ahead to the magic to what is the name of the episode? It's in the first season.
Hmm.
Uh
But I thought it
Discovery.
was serialized and you can't jump ahead.
You can't, but this particular one you kind of can.
Hmm.
Of course, the good or bad thing about Discovery is if you watch a season 4 episode and you watch a season 1 episode, it's a completely different show.
That's interesting. But I mean, yeah, isn't
Ma-
Strange New Worlds like a whole thing where they leave a bunch of their crew behind and time travel into the,
no, that's
you know,
Discovery.
I thought that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. Discover. You said Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, but I'm saying that Strange New Worlds is like a spin-off of Discovery, right?
Technically, or you could say it's the actual series that the Cage was the pilot for,
Hmm. Well,
because Strange New Worlds is the series that the Cage was promoting.
interesting.
So it's the
Wonder if they're
longest
gonna.
pilot the series ever.
Do you,
Almost 60 years pilot the series.
do you think they should take like the cast of all the films and just make like the Star Trek Phase 2 series?
Yes, sure, why not?
I mean, they're not doing anything.
Yeah,
I
but
guess I guess
uh,
Anton Yelkin is dead, so that's kind of.
yeah, that kind of sucks.
I'm-
Magic to make the sanest man go mad. It's the name of the episode where I'll read the
Oh,
plot description that they have. Oh God, it's a long one. What is it? It's I think it's Harry Mudd shows up or something. Oh,
what?
they get like a space whale, right? Because they're trying to
Uh-huh.
save it, and Harry Mudd is stowed away inside the space whale, and he has like a time turner thing. He just keeps murdering everyone on the crew of Discovery over and over again.
Okay, that sounds fun.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. Oh, this is a
Episode
super
7.
okay. I'm looking at a super long summary. I was like, what the fuck am I looking at? Okay, that's not. Yeah, it's like a time loop where and he just keeps murdering everyone over and over again.
That's fun.
What is he?
Oh,
I don't remember what his goal is. Maybe it's for the Discovery's drive. I don't even remember what the goal was. I just you just remember him murdering everyone over and over, Groundhog Day style. It's like if Bill Murray was just murdering everyone in the town for Groundhog Day over and over again, which he probably did for a
Uh,
while.
I was like, I was just listening to your Twilight Zone episode with Andrew on it for the Mind of the Matter, and one of you posited that like if this happened now, that the guy would be like an incel who like just murdered women or something like that. And I was
Yeah.
like, in my head, I was like, wouldn't it be an amazing episode if he like murdered one woman and then was like, wait, oh God, what have I done? And then just like hung out with like the corpse for the rest of the episode.
Oh.
Nobody would actually make this episode for the
I
Twilight Zone, but I was just like, I was just thinking like it would be really funny if there's a Twilight Zone where somebody just like killed somebody and then suddenly realized they didn't actually like what happened after they killed someone.
maybe
But
you
then,
saw this was something on Facebook I saw or was trying to say like kind of Batman's like kind of like underlying personality of different eras. Like in the 40s, he's a hard boiled detective. In the 60s, he's like fun time swinger. In the 80s, like city slicker, right? And I think
Hmm.
they said the 2000s he was kind of American Psycho, and now it's incel Batman.
Oh no.
Well, that's kind of the last movie, isn't it?
I I don't know. The last movie was more like goth. He was like My Chemical Romance Batman kind of, which
Yeah,
is
okay.
a
That's
little
only a step up.
different.
Yeah, it's a little different, but it's
It's a
definitely
little
on the
different.
road. It's on the
I don't
road to incel
yeah, I
Batman.
don't feel like I
Decade's
feel
not
like
over yet.
politically this Batman, yeah. I feel like this Batman is actually a pretty good Batman because like remember, oh God, Christian Bale was like two Batman ago already. Christian Bale was like,
Does
okay,
Batfleck count?
I will spy on everyone to get this guy. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of bad.
Yeah, although now it seems less bad now. It's like, yeah, you just do that. You can do that anywhere now.
I don't even know what Batfleck's personality was because I missed like three of those movies.
Was he in
But
three? He wasn't in three. He's like in two, right?
Justice League,
And
I guess I'm
you're
thinking
unless
of
you're
the
counting the
Snyder
Snyder.
Cut as being two different movies.
I guess that's quite different. There's like an
Uh,
apocalypse in that one or something. I never watched it.
I heard it was good, but I don't care. Um,
That's kind of where I landed.
yeah, I especially don't care if it's 8 hours long. But
That too.
I
Is it that
I
long?
didn't think he was bad. Yeah, the Snyder Cut is. It's like
Oh
very
shit.
long.
I guess it's considered like a
Um,
mini series, right? So
yeah, or maybe it was 4 hours.
mm,
I don't know.
too
But
long.
but
Yeah.
I didn't think he was bad in Man of Steel versus Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice or whatever. Like the problem with that was mostly Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor.
I
It's
didn't.
like
I
one of the
didn't. I
worst.
will say I didn't hate that movie as much as I don't love it by any
No,
means, but I
I
don't
thought
hate
it
it as
was
much as everyone seems
I thought it
to.
was better than Man of Steel, even though I did see the director's cut, which apparently is the much better version.
Mm. I think
Um,
that's why I saw. So yeah, I didn't see it in the theater or anything.
he wasn't Affleck wasn't the problem with that at all. Um, but the hell was I talking about? Oh, why was I even talking about this crap? What the hell does any of this mean? Um, uh,
It's like podcasting's made me
Batman. Oh
lose
yeah,
interest in
current
superheroes.
Batman. I feel like politically he did like it's. I don't feel like he's as much incel Batman as he's like the Batman who goes and sees a bunch of incels and is like, I want to be as different from these people as possible. This is fucked up. You
Maybe
know,
I've
like
only watched that movie once, so I should probably watch it again sometime.
I'm not gonna watch it more than once, but that's what I took from it. Which
Yeah,
it
okay.
felt like he was like I felt like he saw like what the worst version of himself was and was like, that's kind of
Honestly,
fucked up.
I feel like the movie didn't leave a very large impression. I can't remember it all that well, and it was less than a year ago when I watched it.
It's it wasn't like I enjoyed it, but it has like problems that I can't pin down. Like I'm trying to think of something else I saw recently was like technically this is good, but something I think it was something Marvel related where it
Mm.
was like maybe it was even the Doctor Strange movie where it was like this is misfiring on some level and it feels almost like it is intentionally designed for me not to notice what the problems are.
The problem is I should be watching an actual Sam Raimi movie because there's it's like 10% that.
The script was definitely yeah, the script was more of a problem than Sam Raimi was for sure.
But when you
But
get all the zombies and stuff, it's like, okay, this is a Sam Raimi movie. Why can't the whole movie be this?
the I mean the real overthinking ass version of it from neurotic my own brain problem with that movie is that you go into an alternate universe, you see alternate versions of all these characters and what's her name murders the shit out of all of them because it's another universe and they don't matter. So it's like
Okay.
basically you get to see a bunch of cool murder and shit, but it doesn't matter because none of these characters are like our universe.
Mm.
So it's like it's like the same problem where you just like have a bunch of meat shield guys that die who aren't who
That's
don't
kind of how
matter.
the Star Trek novel verse, lit verse ended.
Hmm.
I,
Well, it's
I
also like Star Trek mirror episodes, all of them. people just die in the mirror universe because it doesn't fucking matter because it's not your universe.
I just
And that's
read
like some bullshit.
I read the end of the Litverse one because the three books were 99 cents on Kindle a few months ago, and
Ah,
and then I'm like, well, hell, I've talked to a couple of these authors. I should read them.
yeah, I was gonna say you know some of these people, so that's different.
But yeah, and it's the Litverse is now its own universe, which they end. They're like, oh, do you remember Times Arrow, the one where I go back to San
Yep,
Francisco? Those turn
watched
out
it
to
when
be
it
the
aired.
those are the villains that end the Litverse because they've gotten stronger and they're like sucking energy out of entire universes. So it
Whoa.
turns out like we have to destroy our own universe so they can't go to the stable universes, meaning the one that we're familiar with.
Oh
So the,
God.
so the end
Wow.
has them destroying the universe and everyone dies.
Whoa, cool. I mean, that is pretty cool. It's like, but I mean, even though Star Trek mostly just killed people off when they were like didn't want to be on the show anymore, or I
This kills
guess,
everybody off
yeah. No, but I'm saying
because the
that
Litverse brought back Data and Cisco, but this kills them again.
I did think that was kind of bullshit that they killed or what made Cisco go away at the end of Deep Space Nine because he was like, for one thing, you could go directly to, well, it's like a black man isn't allowed to be a father or
Well, you know,
whatever.
Avery Brooks was kind of pissed. That's actually why they shot
Yeah.
that scene where he at least talks to his wife because he's like, "Wait, you're having me end the series where a black man's leaving his son and not quite born child."
Yeah. And also, really, Cisco and Jake was like the best relationship on that show.
Didn't
Like, it
even
was
say
definitely
goodbye to him.
better
Yeah,
than, it was better than like Worf and
Crusher.
Jax or, yeah. No, I'm just talking about like,
Oh, on
well,
that show,
yeah,
not as good as
maybe the whole
Garrick and
god.
Doctor Bashir.
Yeah, that's the, okay, that's the exception. But aside from Garrick and Dr. Bashir, that's like the best release. And this is cool. It's, I don't know. It's like cool that you can you can have non-romantic relationships be so good within the show. I mean, even I don't know. They think of another friendship in that show that's super good. I mean,
Well, actually,
Quark and Odo is a better relationship than most of the romantic ones in that show.
oh, that's a good. Yeah, yeah. Corco is great. Yeah, I mean, you know, Cisco and Cassie were fine, but yeah, they weren't as good as the ones we just mentioned.
Yeah,
And then Worf and Dax, like, what?
yeah. That's. I mean,
That show wasn't good
it
for Worf.
didn't. It didn't. It didn't work, but it was fun to explore
Mm.
the idea of it, especially when then he went and like banged the next Dax after that.
She
It
was
was
pretty cute.
really, really awkward. Yeah, and I thought she was kind of a terrible actor until she was in the Mirror universe and then was good. And I was like, what? They just have been writing her
she,
badly?
yeah, she just kind of had a unforgiving role, didn't she? Last season of the show, you're replacing a key cast member. You know, there's
Yeah,
some
and I don't
issues.
think yeah, she didn't do a great job at convincing me she was the next. I mean, they explain that by like, oh well, she's not actually
The Jadzia
trained to
part's
be a
gone.
Dax
Yeah.
host or whatever.
Mm.
Because remember that one time, what was the guy? Was it John Glover who like stole the symbiote in the early episode?
I
And he
remember
was
that,
like,
but I don't remember who.
He was Dax for like 20 minutes or whatever. But
Mm-mm-mm.
like that shit was cool because you see him, he's like a kind of a like creepy wormy dude, and then he gets the symbiote and it's
Creepy
just like,
wormy thing.
well, he's like he gets the literal worm. No, but he the performance, the way he did it when he was like when he got the symbiote and he was just like different, like he was
Yeah,
all
that was really
powered
cool.
up. They never did anything like that again in the entire series with the
Right.
symbiotes.
But yeah. What's the last Voyager you watched?
You know, it sucks. I had to switch from I had my Paramount Plus free thing ran out, and I don't. Um, it
That's
was in
why I
season 3 somewhere.
just rocking the DVDs.
I can find it pretty quickly. It was in season 3, and it was do do do.
Do do
Oh,
do.
it was. I got halfway through. Remember.
Okay, I just finished that one, so I guess we're about the same
Ah,
spot.
interesting.
Mm.
Yeah, it was like a little bit weird. Weirdly, it was weirdly horny. I don't know. I was like, this is uncomfortable somehow.
Yeah, somehow horniness and headgear just seems like a
Yeah,
weird fit.
that's the whole thing. It's like I think it's just weird to watch Klingons like because you never really saw Worf like make out with anybody. This was just sort of like.
Anyway, I guess I'm gonna
Anyway,
start on my journeys into other places.
cool.
So
Are we gonna consider? Do you have any idea when you want to do or